If you assume the world is purely good, you are likely to be destroyed by it. You enter expecting fairness, and you get swallowed whole. 2,000 years ago, philosopher Han Feizi looked at this vulnerability and chose a different path. Many modern critics, including the historian Guo Moruo, dismiss Han Fei's resulting work as a fascist-style theory, a mere blueprint for tyranny. Han Feizi treated human greed and the lust for power as inescapable facts of nature. Friedrich Engels famously argued that base greed has driven civilization since its first day. Han Feizi simply chose to dissect that force instead of wishing it away. He lived during the Warring States period, an era of constant, brutal warfare. At the time, the idealistic followers of Confucius were preaching that moral virtue could end the chaos. But those traditional philosophies were failing to stop the bloodshed. Han Fei realized any society designed around how people should behave will inevitably collapse. When individuals act in self-interest, the idealistic system breaks. His pragmatic solution was legalism, abandoning moral instruction, instead building control mechanisms around humanity's selfish desires. Surviving a world run by dark motives requires mastering the cold mechanics of leverage. To put his theories to the test, Han Fei set his sights on the rising superpower of the era, the state of Qin. Han Fei arrived in Qin to make a calculated pitch to its ruler, the man who would eventually become China's first emperor. In his first meeting with Qin, Han Fei argued that geopolitics must be stripped of emotion. Honor and loyalty are secondary to the manipulation of leverage and the exploitation of fractured alliances. His internal doctrine was just as severe. A sovereign must never rule through trust. Instead, the state should run on an absolute, objective system of reward and punishment based entirely on verifiable results. Yet, Han Fei was also a victim of his own logic. In his essay, The Difficulty of Speaking, he revealed a deep paranoia. He understood that being a strategic genius made him a primary target for anyone seeking power. He listed the advisors who came before him: mutilated, chopped into meat paste, boiled alive, executed simply for telling the truth to powerful men. He called this the advisor's paradox. Speaking bluntly to power invites execution for being offensive, but speaking eloquently invites accusations of being a manipulative traitor. Theory became reality during the Preserving Han negotiations. Han Fei tried to use his influence to stop Qin from annihilating his home state, placing himself in the middle of a geopolitical firestorm. This caught the eye of Li Si, Prime Minister of Qin and Han Fei's former classmate. Li Si realized that Han Fei's intellect was an existential threat to his own position and to Qin's dominance. Li Si used Han Fei's own legalist doctrine as a weapon. He argued that Han Fei's loyalty to his homeland made him a disease in the heart of the state. Under the cold logic of legalism, a disease must be removed. Han Fei had engineered a machine of pure, unforgiving logic. He realized too late that he was standing directly in its gears. The political chess match ended in a prison cell. Li Si prevailed, and Han Fei was forced to drink poison. The man who wrote history's most flawless survival guide for court politics was assassinated by the very system he perfected. Despite his death, Han Fei's ideas won. The king of Qin used his exact blueprint to end centuries of warfare, absorbing every rival state to become the first emperor of a unified China. Mao Zedong later observed that while empires often preach Confucian morality in public, they inevitably rule using Han Fei's ruthless legalism in private. These two opposing philosophies operate simultaneously. One is the polite, clear facade shown to the public. The other is the muddy, underlying reality of statecraft. Deciphering these mechanics provides a form of social immunity. We study these texts to recognize the methods of manipulation used by those in power. In a world still governed by leverage, understanding the dark mechanics of human nature provides the armor required to survive reality.